She undressed before a blind Sheikh, unaware he could see. What he revealed changed everything. The moment Sarah peeled off her clothes in that secluded corner of the retreat, she felt unshackled, if only for an instant. The sound of her heartbeat thundered in her ears, drowning out the whispers of doubt that had chased her since childhood. Here she was, intent on capturing the human form, unguarded and raw, enveloped by nature and art supplies, while Sheikh Amir's striking presence lingered elsewhere in the sprawling wooden lodge. Little did she know, his otherworldly ability to see beyond the physical realm framed everything that she could only wish to conceal. Though she knew amidst the lush trees and soft whispers of the wind was a world far richer than the daily grind of teaching art to restless high schoolers back home, insecurities haunted her. Was she merely an imposter, mingling in the presence of genius? Would she ever rise beyond the limitations dictated by her mother and the small town they lived in? Each stroke on her sketchpad resonated with pain and yearning, the images evoking the question that twisted deep within. Did she dare to find herself as an artist? As days blurred into each other, Sarah's spirit shrank, weighed down heavily by her thoughts. Surrounded by an eclectic mix of artistic talent, she felt akin to a moth lost in a circus of flaming lights. Comparisons eroded her confidence with every breathtaking piece painted around her. The passion that once ignited her dreams dulled into a flicker, only fueled further by the responsibilities pulling her back home. Her ailing mother and the demands of family loyalty tethered her, coiling tightly like vines ensnaring a desperate bird. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. One afternoon, while seeking solace in a corner unbothered by judgment, she surrendered to the charcoal and softness of the paper, her fingers moving with a wild abandon. Each line pulled her closer to the unexplainable freedom she'd long sought. Passion swept through her as she curled back into the moment, but little did she suspect that Sheikh Amir's presence was not as distant as she believed. Unbeknownst to her, he absorbed every brush of her spirit and emotions, intertwining with the raw energy she feared to embrace. Yet this ethereal engagement soon spiraled into turmoil as secrets from her mother's past lingered, dark and unyielding.
A single phone call shattered the thin ice of her growing confidence, a revelation that could unravel everything she held dear. The beautiful tapestry of loyalty and ambition threatened to fray, leaving her grappling with a choice that felt impossible. How could she explore her artistic potential without condemning the fragile ties of family? What price would she ultimately pay for her truth? Caught in this whirlwind of conflicting emotions, Sarah stood at the precipice, her heart racing as uncertainty clawed at her mind. The canvas she used to communicate her essence became a battleground of despair and hope. How could she be an artist while safeguarding her family's fragile harmony? The choice loomed like a specter, suffocating and irresistible, as she faced the most profound question of her life. Could she embody the bold stroke of defiance she craved without losing everything she loved? As Sarah grappled with the gravity of her choices, the world around her blurred into a haze. The vibrant greens of the retreat's foliage and the soothing sounds of nature that once inspired her now felt like a distant melody, muted by the clamor of her internal struggle. Every artist's retreat was supposed to be a sanctuary, but for Sarah, it morphed into an arena where she battled her demons. The remnants of her mother's revelation echoed in her mind, urging her to reconsider the meaning of her freedom, a freedom shadowed by familial obligation. She found herself seated beneath the sprawling limbs of a maple tree, the dappled sunlight creating intricate patterns on her sketches laid across her lap. This was the oasis she needed to reflect, yet each stroke of charcoal felt heavier than before. Capturing the human form was no longer simply about artistic expression. It was intertwined with her identity, further complicated by the weight of family loyalty. What if her mother's past was a shimmering veil over the truth she needed to withstand? Her heart raced at the thought of breaking free from the teachings that anchored her. Flashes of her mother's disappointed gaze haunted her, mingling with the desire to step boldly into the realm of artistry. Sarah's mind spiraled in a chaotic mix of emotions: guilt, rebellion, and unresolved aspirations. If she chose art over loyalty, would she be a traitor or a pioneer? The emotional turmoil coursed through her veins, igniting a stubborn spark deep within. Was it really so grand to chase the elusive dream of artistry? Surely she could pursue her ambitions without utterly abandoning her mother. Yet the whispers of doubt persisted, licking at her resolve like flames against a cool, dark night. The significance of her art felt magnified. It was no longer a hobby, but a lifeline, an expression laden with meaning. Unable to summon clarity, she forced herself to pick up her brush, the charcoal nib tracing figures on the page.
She painted not what she saw, but what she yearned to feel, pouring her pent-up dissatisfaction into the leather-bound sketchbook. Each line came alive, determined to assert her identity, a blend of yearning and defiance manifested in the strokes. As she painted, a small but significant voice within urged her on, whispering that her journey was just as valid as the others she admired around her. Sinking deeper into creative abandon, she became aware of an unusual stillness enveloping her. It felt like an audience, unseen but palpable. Sheikh Amir's presence pulsed in the air like electricity, a reminder of what lay beyond her tangled emotions. She had seen him watching with intensity, his gaze piercing her haze of uncertainty. In a moment of raw courage, she decided to confront the ethereal silence that encapsulated them. With a swift motion, she turned to face the lodge's entrance, the gentle rustle of the trees echoing her heart's tempo. "What are you waiting for?" she whispered, her voice a rustling leaf beneath the weight of the moment. Although the lodge stood still, Sarah's internal world surged with urgency. She needed to confront her fears, to take that crucial step towards revealing her true self, not just in art, but in life. The decision was imminent, and as the tension coiled around her existence, she realized that the time had come to face not only her art, but the choices that would define her very essence. Transformative change loomed on the horizon, and she could feel its tremors threatening to shake her foundation. The bond between ambition and love beckoned her to face the truth. Would she grasp it, or let it slip through her fingers? As the air crackled with possibility, an unexpected visitor appeared on the threshold, someone with the power to forever alter the course of her journey. Who could it be, and what revelations would come with their presence? The sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the retreat in hues of amber and gold, but Sarah felt only the chill of uncertainty as she faced the figure stepping into view. Sheikh Amir, framed against the backdrop of twilight, carried an air of authority and calm that both unnerved and inspired her. Her heartbeat quickened as he approached, the weight of their previous encounters lingering between them like an unspoken truth. "Sarah," he began, his voice low and steady, cutting through the tension that wrapped around her like a shroud. "Why are you hiding?" His words struck her with unexpected force. She hadn't seen herself as hiding, not really, yet beneath the layers of her artistic shield, she felt the rawness of her vulnerability flare up, making her acutely aware of the facade she had constructed around her ambitions. "I'm not hiding," she managed to reply, though the quiver in her voice betrayed her. "Then why is your art filled with shadows?" he challenged, gesturing to her sketchbook now resting uneasily on her lap. "You paint two worlds, one that reflects your longing and one that betrays it. This disconnect is what holds you back." His piercing gaze bore into her, unraveling the threads of her defenses. It was terrifying, yet liberating, to have someone recognize her inner turmoil with such clarity. The sketches she had poured her heart into suddenly felt inadequate. They were documents of struggle, not of resolution. "Art should set you free," he continued, stepping closer, grounding her in the present. "It needs to mirror your truths, not just your fears. What do you want to express when you paint?" The question hung heavily in the air, and for the first time, Sarah grappled with an answer that scared her. What did she truly want? The certainty she had once felt was evaporating, and she was left vulnerable, exposed before this man who seemed to sense her internal chaos. I want to be honest," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "But honesty feels like it could destroy everything. My family, my past. What if I choose the ambition to create over my obligation to love?" A flicker of understanding crossed Sheikh Amir's face, softening his intensity. "Obligation and ambition are not mutually exclusive, Sarah. By choosing to pursue your art, you honor both your truth and your roots. The fear of destruction is what paralyzes you. It keeps you from realizing your full potential." His words unfurled a sense of possibility within her, igniting a flame of determination. What if veiling her true self ultimately dishonored her mother's legacy? Persuaded by the conviction in his voice, she began to visualize a path, a way to blend her passion with her heritage, reshaping both into something authentic. "Maybe you should show me what you're truly capable of," he said, with an encouraging nod toward the sketchbook. "Dare to create without the bounds of expectation." There it was, the invitation she hadn't known she needed. With trembling hands, Sarah opened the sketchbook, flipping past the hesitant pieces that had been draped in doubt. Beneath the smattering of charcoal lay untouched pages, blank canvases awaiting her exploration. As she sat poised to draw, threading her emotions into strokes of graphite, a wave of fear and exhilaration washed over her. In that pivotal moment, she decided to embrace her truth unfettered by guilt. The prospect of her mother's approval began to feel less like a tether and more like a breeze pushing her forward into new territory. But as a chaotic whirlwind of creation took hold, the shadows of her internal conflict loomed larger than ever. What would her mother think? And would this new direction really honor their bond? Doubt coiled tightly around her as she transformed those first strokes into a bold declaration of freedom. Lost in the dance of charcoal across paper, she craved clarity even more fiercely than before.
Just as breakthrough felt imminent, a sudden noise broke the stillness, unraveling her focus and sending her into a tailspin. What was that sound? A powerful reminder of the uncertainties lurking behind her choices rose like a tide. This journey into self-exploration was far from simple. Would she falter under the weight of expectation, or plunge deeper, confronting whatever lay hidden in the chaos? And before she could grapple with the implications, another presence emerged from the evening shadows, someone from her past, unexpectedly bridging her worlds. Would this new encounter expand her understanding or deepen her conflict? A chill wrapped around Sarah as the familiar figure stepped from the shadows, her breath hitching. It was Jenna, her childhood friend, a ghost of her past stirring uncertain memories. Each step Jenna took toward Sarah echoed in the hollow spaces of her mind, pulling raw emotions to the surface. After years apart, Jenna now personified the life Sarah had chosen to leave behind, a stark reminder of who she was before ambition set her on this tumultuous path. "Sarah?" Jenna's voice broke the tension, laced with surprise. "Is that really you?" The joy in Jenna's expression didn't align with the unease that coursed through Sarah. She could sense the fabric of her current identity unraveling at the edges. This was not just a casual visit. It felt like an intrusion of her past colliding with her present, a reality she wasn't ready to face. The sketchbook lay resting in her lap, a witness to her transformation, the unfinished strokes of her bold declaration suspended in time as they exchanged pleasantries. "It's been a while," Sarah responded, striving for a tone that implied ease. "It has. I thought you disappeared into the art world." Jenna's laughter rang out, but it sounded distant. "Your mom always said you'd become something amazing." A wave of guilt washed over Sarah. She had been running, second-guessing her choices, and here stood Jenna, wrapped in nostalgia, speaking the words of affirmation she had longed to hear, yet felt unworthy of. What was the cost of this artistic ambition? Would it forever fracture connections she once cherished? "Did you come to see the gallery?" Sarah felt compelled to redirect the conversation, even if her heart wasn't entirely in it. "I heard you were organizing something special." Jenna smiled, faltered slightly, the excitement replaced by a cautious curiosity. "But I didn't expect to find you here, buried in these sketches?" Sarah's eyes flicked to her drawings, the lines on the paper stark against the encroaching darkness of the evening. It felt as though each stroke contained her fear of judgment, of not measuring up to expectations. The shadows she had poured onto the page reflected her uncertainty. Would Jenna see the rawness, the vulnerability hidden behind the lines, and hold it against her? "Yes." Jenna stepped closer, tilting her head as if to catch a clearer view. "They're beautiful, Sarah. You've always had the gift. But they feel darker than before." A taut silence unfolded as Sarah weighed Jenna's observation against her own doubts. Did her art indeed convey the chaos inside?
Art should reflect your truth. Sheikh Amir's words echoed in her memory. What was she afraid of? The chance to reclaim her honesty was here, tethered to her past but not confined by it. What if I'm losing my way? Sarah admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. What if honesty means losing everything I hold dear? Honesty is powerful, Jenna countered, her eyes brightening. It's not just freeing, it's transformative. Look at you. You have so much potential, Sarah. The encouragement, as unexpected as it was, ignited something dormant within Sarah. Jenna's faith in her was a lifeline, pulling her out from the abyss of doubt. As she grappled with the need to honor her truth, she remembered why she had started painting in the first place: to express, to connect, to live boldly. The night air thickened with possibility. In stepping toward who she truly was, she could breathe life into both her art and her past. With Jenna's unwavering gaze upon her, she felt the stirrings of confidence rise. Perhaps she could redefine her path, intertwining the earnest thread of her heritage with the vibrant colors of her ambitions. Just as she made up her mind to let the evening unfold without the weight of her fears, a shadow moved in the corner of her vision. Sheikh Amir stood silently, observing the exchange, an uninvited yet potent reminder that there was still much at stake, as new dynamics were forged between them. What complexities lay ahead, as past and present collided in this moment of revelation? With Jenna re-entering her life, could Sarah cultivate the strength to embrace her artistry, or would external expectations choke the very essence of whom she aimed to become? The air shifted as Sheikh Amir's presence loomed larger, eliciting a flurry of emotions within Sarah. Her heart raced as uncertainty clawed at her, merging with the nascent confidence Jenna had ignited. Here was the embodiment of her professional aspirations, a man whose reputation whispered of power and connections. Yet he was also a reminder of the compromises she had made along the way, sacrificing authenticity for the allure of acceptance. She felt exposed, torn between two worlds, the uncharted territory of her evolving self and the carefully constructed narrative she had built around her career. With Jenna beside her, Sarah suddenly felt brave yet conflicted, as if the past was not done taking its toll. She could sense Amir's scrutiny, his silent appraisal more daunting than any critique she had faced before. "What do you want to do next?" Amir finally spoke, his voice smooth yet edged with expectation. "I want to be true to myself," Sarah replied, surprising even herself with the conviction in her tone.
The words felt foreign yet exhilarating, as if they had sprung forth from a wellspring she had long neglected. "I want my art to reflect all parts of me, not just the polished facade everyone expects." Amir raised an eyebrow, intrigued by the unexpected assertiveness. Would that not put your opportunities at risk? His question hung heavy in the air, heavy with the weight of industry truths. Sarah felt the old fears creeping back in, the familiar voice that whispered she was nothing without prestige, without the approval of powerful figures like Amir. Yet Jenna's presence anchored her. "Maybe risk is what I need," she asserted, her voice gaining strength. "I've been living under the shadow of expectations so long. Perhaps it's time I stepped into the light of my own making." Jenna nodded in encouragement, her faith bolstering Sarah's resolve. The dichotomy of their lives had always made sense, yet here, in this moment, Sarah realized they could coexist. Her past could enrich her future, not limit it. "Transformation is a journey," Amir remarked, his demeanor shifting from skepticism to cautious respect. "But to pursue authenticity, you must be prepared to face resistance, both from the outside world and within yourself." His words pierced her defenses, acknowledging the fear she had yet to confront. Could she sustain her newfound path, or would the weight of the art world's expectations pull her back into complacency? "Perhaps you need the right channel to express this truth," Amir offered, taking a step closer. "I can provide opportunities that amplify your voice, but know this, nothing will shield you from the scrutiny that comes with visibility." There it was, the invitation dangling before her like a ripe fruit within her reach, but it also bore the inherent risks that came with such exposure. She had been striving for recognition, yet as she stood on the cusp of that possible fame, hesitation gripped her heart. "Will this be a chance to define who I am, or merely a platform for others to project their desires?" she questioned, a newfound clarity igniting her thoughts. "Both," Amir replied unwaveringly. "Your truth will resonate, but it will not fit everyone's narrative. You must embrace the pushback as part of your journey." The weight of his words settled over her. Was she ready to face the critics, the whispers in the shadows, the very ideology she had spent years building her career upon? As each possibility unfolded, Sarah felt the fire of determination rise within her. She had to know. Jenna's hand brushed against hers, coaxing warmth amidst the uncertainty. "Remember, we all get to choose how we respond to challenges," she murmured, renewing Sarah's resolve to embrace the journey ahead. Together, they stood resolute against the enormity of the moment,
What steps would Sarah take as she straddled the crossroads of authenticity and expectations?
In the midst of potential and vulnerability, clarity danced at the edge of her consciousness. As she began to process her options while surveying her surroundings, she caught Amir's unyielding gaze and recognized something deeper in his eyes, an echo of his own battles, a subtle connection to her struggle. Would she allow this chance to redefine her journey, or let it slip through her fingers as she clung to the safety of doubt? The tension crackled in the air, a moment teetering between indecision and boldness. Her artistry could unlock doors, but would she find the strength to step through? Sarah could feel a new awakening burgeon inside her, a nerve to embrace the vulnerability, yet trepidation deepened. What if unveiling her truth led to confrontation with others she held dear? Resolute, Sarah took a deep breath, even as uncertainty loomed. The next decision would define her journey, but was she prepared for the upheaval it could cause? In that very instant, she was faced with a challenge that would test everything she had learned. What risks was she willing to take for what she truly desired? The next moment, she committed herself to action, her heart thrumming with both fear and resolve. Little did she know, this choice would trigger a new intersection of conflict, one that could redefine not just her artistry, but the very essence of who she was poised to become. As Sarah stood poised between aspiration and trepidation, the weight of each potential outcome settled heavily on her shoulders. In this moment charged with uncertainty, she felt the pressure of the onlookers around them melt away, leaving only Amir's intense gaze. It was a reflection of her own inner conflict. What was she truly prepared to embrace? "I feel it's time," she said, surprising even herself with the clarity nestled within her words. "Time to stop hiding behind what I think people want from me and transform that into something I actually believe in." The conviction behind her voice seemed to embolden her further, yet a sliver of doubt threatened to unravel her resolve. Amir regarded her with a newfound curiosity. "And how do you plan to bridge the chasm between society's desires and your own insights?" His challenge felt less like a criticism and more like an invitation to engage in deeper exploration. "It starts with creating pieces that resonate with my truth, not molded by others' expectations," she replied, her heart racing as she envisioned her future work. The canvases filled with colors capturing her experiences, the emotions that ebbed and flowed but stayed true to her identity. "Bold yet risky," Amir replied, a hint of admiration gleaming in his eyes. "Are you prepared for the backlash from those expecting your work to fit a certain mold? Change ruffles feathers." Perhaps it was the pressure of his expectations that scared her most. The thought of standing before an audience presenting her unfiltered self felt both thrilling and terrifying. "I know that authenticity won't come without scrutiny, but it's a risk I'm willing to take," she asserted, pushing back against her innate hesitation. In that instant, she felt something shift within her. The sensation was akin to a door creaking open, revealing a taste of liberation that she had only dimly realized existed before. Pretense and decorum, the dual shields she wielded so long, began to feel constricting, stifling her sensations of growth. Would she let them bind her forever? "Then let us chart a plan," Amir said, breaking into a knowing smile. "We can design a showcase around your emerging identity as an artist, a chance to unveil your spirit without the fear of judgment." The surge of possibility ignited her adrenaline, yet a chill of apprehension followed. "What if no one accepts my vision?" she questioned, her voice wavering slightly. Was she equipped to withstand the potential rejection? "Ah, but therein lies your power, Sarah," Amir replied, impassioned by his conviction. "Your worth does not lie in the approval of critics. If you stay true to your vision, you break free from the need for validation." Jenna's encouraging gaze met hers, a beacon of light illuminating the path forward. The fear of failure seemed insurmountable, yet here was an ally suggesting a springboard into the unknown. The first-hand knowledge might embolden her. The chance to redefine how she expressed her identity could be her artistic awakening. Yet inflected within were echoes of self-doubt, whispers urging her to tread lightly. What if the unveiling of her true self sabotaged the network she was built upon? What if it alienated those she cared most about? "Just know," Amir continued with unwavering sincerity, "no artist who dared to innovate did so without a price. But it is your choice to embrace that in exchange for authenticity. What will it be?
Sarah felt a quake of energy pulsating through her core as Amir's observations hovered in her mind. This was no longer about merely presenting her art. It was about carving her identity within the very fabric of her artistry. Purpose surged with a humorously painful clarity. If she did not challenge the status quo, she would forever remain caught in a web of imitation. In that split second, she resolved to take the step, to plunge into the depths of vulnerability. "Let's do it," she replied, her heart racing with anticipation. The decision to carve her own path ignited not only excitement, but a renewed sense of accountability for her truth. Yet, as they initiated plans, a haunting anxiety flickered in the back of her mind. What foundational relationships would she risk testing in this exploration? Would her friends and family stand by her or shrink away as the spotlight shone on her unpolished truths? As she navigated the unfolding discussions with Amir, determination blended with uncertainty. All the paths intertwined like brushstrokes on a canvas, leading toward her willing confrontation of self.
The crossroads awaited. Her mission was clear, yet the cost remained to be unveiled. Sarah could feel the tantalizing pull of the future ahead, a journey poised to shake the very ground she stood upon. What would she discover about those around her, and ultimately about herself, as she ventured down this radical road? Amid the tension and anticipation of what revelations lay just beyond the horizon, she sensed the incoming storm of confrontation with perceptions, both her own and those of others. With such a profound shift in ambitions on the precipice of her daring choices, she asked herself, what price would the journey demand from her heart? The days blurred together as Sarah dove into her work, each stroke of the brush falling onto the canvas with a mix of fervor and trepidation. The once familiar surroundings of her studio felt different now, charged with an urgency to excavate feelings she had stifled for far too long. With every piece she began, she wrestled with vulnerability, a nagging discomfort spiraling up from the pit of her stomach. Those initial moments of excitement twirled into anxiety as she painted. Would anyone see the authentic self she was trying to portray? Each envisioned expression pulled her back, her unconscious desires swirling beneath the surface, threatening to suffocate. What if her own revelations rushed forward, naked and raw, exposing not just her artistry, but her very essence? When she looked at the blank canvas in front of her, instead of a space filled with endless possibilities, it morphed into an intimidating abyss. Its whiteness mocked her indecision, whispering that she could easily retreat to the safety of convention. At times, she sat in silence, staring at the colors on her palette, mentally tracing the outline of what could be, while her brush trembled in uncertainty. Instead of color, a gray fog of doubt clouded her thoughts. She couldn't let fear bind her again. It was essential to confront her own fears head-on. This journey was about unfurling the layers of her identity publicly, an act that stood in stark contrast to the safe, predictable art she had delivered thus far. Amir's words haunted her. "Your worth does not lie in the approval of critics." Could she truly reshape how the world saw her? Every daring decision bore the weight of potential backlash, and she could feel the strains of past judgments clinging like shadows from her previous self. The very relationships that acted as her support system now felt like counting chains of expectations, and unveiling her original artistry felt akin to stepping blind into a tempest. In moments of solitude, fleeting thoughts of her family crept in, their faces swimming before her mind's eye. Would they embrace her transformative efforts, or would they raise their brows, questioning the choices she had made? This uncertainty turned her stomach.
One afternoon, as she found herself lost in thought, Jenna appeared in the doorway, wrapped in a cloud of energy. "You look like you need a break," she said, her eyes sharp with a knowing glimmer. "Let's take a walk." It felt grounding to step outside, the fresh air invigorating her senses. As they strolled along the sun-dappled path, Jenna spoke openly, turning possibilities into active dialogue. "What's holding you back? You know they can't dictate who you are." The impact of Jenna's words stirred something within Sarah. "What if I fail? What if I lose them?" she breathed, a tangled knot of emotions bubbling to the surface. "Even if they don't get it at first, you need to let them see your truth. That's real courage. And trust me, if they're in your corner, they'll come around," Jenna said, her voice steady amid Sarah's turmoil. The certainty in Jenna's tone sparked a flicker of hope. Nurturing her passion while risking disapproval felt daunting, yet these sentiments transformed into a brewing storm of resilience within her. Uncertainty fueled her, and as they walked,
She realized that perhaps confronting the truth would forge deeper connections, not sever them. Returning to her studio, Sarah confronted her canvas with renewed fervor. Each brushstroke became a battle cry against conformity. She poured herself into the work, the colors merging and dancing on the surface, reflecting fears transformed into strength. As the pieces began taking form, so too did her identity, layered, cohesive, and unapologetically raw. Her heart raced as she stepped back to analyze her work. This was about more than art. It was an expression of untold stories, tinged with profound truths waiting to collide with the outside world. But right before she could fully immerse herself in this newfound empowerment, the door swung open. Amir, a storm of anxious urgency, stepped in. "We need to talk," he said, his expression tightening with something significant. "What is it?" Sarah asked, her heart skipping as she prepared for yet another confrontation with her fears. "The showcase you're preparing for. It's just around the corner, and I believe you're not fully aware of the implications it might have, both for yourself and those around you," he replied, stepping closer as the weight of his words pressed on her. Sarah could feel her breath hitching in her throat, a familiar tightness returning. "What do you mean?" "Sometimes the hardest truths come from those we cherish most," he began, his gaze unwavering. In that moment, conflict roiled in her, the exhilarating endeavor of revealing her truth now shrouded in a disquieting cloud of uncertainty. What revelations lay ahead, and who would embrace them? Her heart pounded as she awaited his next words, the tension thickening the air around them. Would she be ready for what was about to unfold? The air felt charged as Amir's words hung between them, laden with unspoken truths.
Sarah's heart quickened, a palpable fear slicing through the exhilaration she had begun to feel in her work. The impending showcase promised an unveiling that was both exhilarating and terrifying. Could she bear the scrutiny? Could she withstand the judgment of her closest allies? More importantly, was she ready to face herself? "Amir," she finally asked, finding her voice laced with urgency, "what do you know that I don't? What are you afraid I might lose?" He shifted, the tension in his frame vibrating like a taut string. "It's not just about what people see in your art, Sarah. It's about what they might reflect back to you. Art exposes everything, your vulnerabilities, your strengths, your very being. Are you prepared for potential fallout?" Her mind raced, thoughts spiraling like leaves caught in a storm. Each word echoed what she had been wrestling with since she began painting anew. But Amir's concern felt more tangible, laden with the weight of experience. What hidden truths might emerge when her work was set against the harsh light of public observation? "I've been through this before, Sarah," he continued, his gaze softening slightly. "The world can be brutally honest, and sometimes it feels like art isn't always about self-expression. It can feel like a mirror reflecting your insecurities. Are you ready for that?" His words struck a nerve. Every past failure, every critique unfolded in her mind like a dark scroll, bringing up insecurities that she thought she had tucked away under layers of vibrant paint. The near paralyzing fear of rejection gnawed at her. With this opportunity to share her authentic self end with an avalanche of judgment, visions of family and friends standing in hushed disappointment clouded her thoughts. "What if they don't understand?" she asked, her vulnerability cutting through her defenses. "What if they see me and think I'm lost?" "Understand this," Amir said, steadiness returning to his voice. "Your journey is unique. If they care about you, they will seek to understand. But the bigger question is, are you willing to accept whatever comes, good or bad?" The determination in his voice pushed against her doubts. What had seemed like a stark risk now morphed into an opportunity for transformation. She had been hiding herself behind a facade of artistic safety, but taking Amir's challenge also meant stepping into unknown territory, armed with the hope that her inner world could resonate with others. With a sudden rush of conviction, she responded, "I need to let them see who I am, beyond the paint, beyond the expectation, but I have to choose the pieces that reflect my truth." Amir nodded. "That's the spirit. Choose wisely. Remember, art isn't just about aesthetics. It's about communicating what words cannot. What you reveal could resonate, change perspectives, or even start conversations you didn't think you were ready to have."
As Amir's thoughts sunk in, Sarah felt a fire ignite within her, a strange mix of fear and exhilaration. This was her chance to reclaim her artistry, not only as a reflection of her past, but as an avenue towards personal growth. In that moment, she understood that the showcase wasn't a precipice, but rather a platform for her rebirth. Yes, there were risks, but risks were essential to growth. How many voices within her had been silenced by fear? It was time to dismantle that fortress and invite her vulnerabilities out into the light. "Thank you for pushing me," she said, a newfound clarity settling in. I want to make these pieces stronger, more authentic. I want them to be a true reflection of the journey I've been on. Amir smiled, relief washing over his features. That's what I wanted to hear. But remember, this is just the beginning. What you choose next will define not just how others perceive your work, but how you perceive yourself. Sarah walked toward her canvas, determination coiling tightly around her heart. She picked up her brush, each stroke becoming a tapestry woven from threads of aspiration, fear, and authenticity. Colors blossomed, and beneath the vivid surfaces lay the stories she had long suppressed. Amped by purpose, she gazed at the emerging forms, realizing she was crafting more than art. She was sculpting her future, layer by layer. But as her brush met the canvas once more, a sudden noise made her stop. The studio door creaked open. Jenna's head peeked through the entrance, an expression of concern settling on her features. "Are you okay?" she called out, sensing the tension around Sarah. The sound of her friend's voice cut through the air, reminding Sarah that her journey was a shared one, threading through revelations that not only shaped her, but also those who cared for her. "I will be," Sarah answered, her voice steady. But confusion grew anew. But what if my truth isn't ready to be revealed? The question hung heavy in the air, thickening the atmosphere as her concern morphed into an urgent plea for clarity. Would the canvas hold the answers she sought? Should she be brave enough to unveil her essence fully? As Jenna stepped inside, Sarah felt a wave of uncertainty wash over her. Everything hung in a delicate balance, waiting for her next bold move. Would she push forward despite the turmoil or step back into the comfort of safety? With her heart pounding in her chest, she knew that the moment to relinquish fear and embrace the chaos was drawing closer. But who would catch her when she fell? And what would it mean if she spread her wings only to find herself unprotected? Sarah stood at the edge of that chasm, ready to leap, her artistic journey teetering on the brink of revelation. The sunlight filtered through the studio windows, casting elongated shadows across the polished floor. Sarah's gaze drifted from the canvas back to Jenna, whose eyes scanned her friend with a mix of concern and curiosity.
"What's happening in there?" Jenna stepped closer, the studio's creative chaos starkly contrasting the order she brought with her presence. "I am," Sarah admitted, exhaling a shaky breath. "It's like standing on the edge of a cliff, and I'm not sure if I should jump or pull back." "A leap of faith can feel that way," Jenna replied thoughtfully. "Sometimes the only way to find out what's beneath is to dive in, right?" Standing there, Sarah felt as if she were in the eye of a storm, a moment of clarity amidst the swirling chaos of her thoughts. Jenna's words nudged the deep-seated truth within her. The fear of judgment was merely the shadow of self-doubt, clouding her vision and inhibiting her growth. "Do you ever worry what others will think of you?" Sarah ventured, hoping to uncover a shared vulnerability. "Of course, but I've learned that focusing on their judgments only distracts from what really matters. My voice, my vision." Jenna shrugged nonchalantly, as if that alone could banish the ghosts of past critiques. "We've all been there, questioning ourselves. But if we're not honest in our art, what are we really creating?" Invigorated, Sarah felt the flicker of understanding catch fire. Jenna's confidence mirrored the resolve she craved for herself. The breakthrough was right in front of her, ready to unfold with each brushstroke, pushing against the shackles of expectation she felt from outside influences. "Maybe," Sarah mused, "what I'm most afraid of isn't their judgment, but facing the rawness within me, the parts I've kept hidden for so long." Jenna stepped back slightly and regarded her friend with a knowing glance. "Then you have to ask yourself, what does your art mean to you? It is about expressing that hidden self, right? What if every piece isn't just an artwork, but a conversation starter about who you are?" The conversation ignited a passion inside Sarah like embers coaxed to life. She had been grappling with her need for validation, while simultaneously holding herself captive in a box of expectation. What if instead of worrying about how her work would be perceived, she dedicated herself to the act of creation itself? Jenna marched over to the canvas, her enthusiasm contagious. "Show me what you've got so far. I want to see the fearless Sarah breaking free from those walls." And suddenly, vulnerability felt like a gift rather than a curse. Sarah stepped away from her internal strife and embraced the moment, allowing Jenna's presence to illuminate the path she had so long resisted. She turned her attention back to the canvas and began to paint, each stroke liberating her from the burdens of doubt. The images flowed, a dynamic fusion of colors and shapes that spoke directly to her journey. She painted the isolation she felt, the joy of rediscovery, and each element symbolized yet another layer stripped off. "What materials are you using?"
Jenna asked, her eyes wide as she marveled at the bold palette unfolding before her. "I'm trying to use everything," Sarah replied, startled by the spontaneous revelation. "Each color, each texture tells a story.
It's like I'm pushing boundaries and not just sticking to what's comfortable. Jenna beamed with appreciation. That's the spirit. Art isn't confined to pretty pictures. It's about the process and how it reflects who you are underneath. The art of painting is a practice of courage. For the first time, Sarah felt as if the paintbrush was a sword against her insecurities. With each stroke, she battled the tendencies that silenced her narrative. She embraced chaos, knowing that mastery would come not from perfection, but from authenticity. Yet, amid this creative surge, a sliver of fear crept back, a shadow whispering questions of worth, validation, and potential disappointment from the outside world. As soon as she could shove those thoughts down, something awakened within her. "What if I expose parts of me that I don't even understand yet?" she whispered, her courage faltering momentarily. Jenna, sensing the shift, placed her hand on Sarah's shoulder. "Then perhaps this is your chance to discover them. Nobody needs perfection. They desire connection. Let your art show your truth, not just for them, but for you." As Sarah absorbed Jenna's guidance, the gravity of their conversation shifted her perspective. She was fueled not just by the need for artistic expression, but by the possibility of self-discovery. This showcase, once dreaded, now transformed into a sacred space for unveiling all facets of her. The sun dipped lower, shadows lengthening, but Sarah felt time freeze. In her bubble of creativity, she surrendered to the thrill of that moment, navigating the terrain of self-exploration, feeling supported instead of scrutinized. But just as clarity settled into a newfound resolve, her phone buzzed on the table, punctuating the sacred stillness with a jarring beep. Notifications from social media flooded in, messages, reminders, all demanding her attention. Jenna raised an eyebrow, concern etching her features. "You should check that, right?" "Right," Sarah replied reluctantly, suddenly pragmatic again. As she reached for the phone, a sinking dread filled her. The messages could pull her back into the swirl of outside judgment, erasing the momentum she had just built. With her heart weighed down by uncertainty, she wondered if she could maintain her newfound clarity in the face of the outside world. Would this be the moment when commitments collided with the revelation she sought? As anxiety gripped her, she caught a glimpse of the unfinished canvas and the powerful narrative it held. Would she allow fear to derail her progress, or choose to stand on the precipice of her truth? Her fingers hovered over the screen, a single decision hanging in the balance.
Would she engage with the flood of outside voices, or would she silence them and trust her own? The canvas and the phone simultaneously beckoned, each representing different paths of her journey. In that moment, the clarity she had fought for trembled, waiting for her action to tip the balance in one direction or the other. As Sarah stood at the crossroads of her artistic fervor and external pressures, a moment of clarity surged within her. The cacophony of notifications begged for attention, demanding her compliance with societal expectations. However, the canvas before her pulsed with the promise of self-discovery and authenticity. Taking a deep breath, she consciously set aside her phone. This small act wasn't just a decision against distraction, it represented a commitment to her newfound purpose. The messages could wait. The only voice that mattered now was her own, echoed in every stroke of the brush. She stepped forward, emboldened, and started painting with an intensity that transformed her fears into vibrant colors. Each brushstroke articulated a story, a narrative of struggle, rebirth, and acceptance. What emerged was a tapestry of her journey, the weight of familial expectation, the anguish of self-doubt, and the exhilarating taste of liberation. The colors ran together, vibrant and alive, capturing both the shadows of her past and the bright layers of hope she was forging. This wasn't merely about showcasing her artistry. It was about creating a mirror that reflected not only her dreams, but her raw, unfiltered self. Jenna watched, her awe evident as each layer unveiled richer complexities. "This is beautiful, Sarah. You're creating something real," she marveled, warmth radiating from her gaze. With every passing hour, Sarah lost herself deeper in the chaos of creation. Shadows danced alongside light, embodying the duality of her emotions. She blended and layered, whispering her truths to the canvas, each brushstroke tethering her more firmly to authenticity. In that moment of immersion, she realized this was what it meant to be an artist. It was the rawness of vulnerability, an unguarded exploration that didn't shy away from darkness, but embraced it as part of the process. The fear that once paralyzed her became an ally in her truth-telling.
As hours melted into a blur of unfettered creativity, she began to feel her heart swell with recognition. She was transforming, rising from the confines of the person she thought she had to be. Finally, she was crafting a narrative that reflected her spirit, unfurling, one brushstroke at a time. Days passed, and the showcase approached. Sarah prepared not with trepidation, but with anticipation. Her art, an extension of her journey, was ready. Each piece revealed layers of complexity, yet remained united under the umbrella of honesty. No longer trapped by the doubts that haunted her, she embraced the exhibition as an opportunity to connect authentically with those who viewed her work.
On the day of the showcase, she stood in the gallery, heart thundering. The walls adorned with her creations held echoes of her struggles and triumphs. The audience slowly filled the space, their whispers laced with curiosity and excitement. She felt Amir's presence nearby, a reassuring anchor amid the swirling emotions. As individuals walked around, examining the art, Sarah prepared for the surge of opinions, knowing they could potentially ignite fear once more. Yet, standing there, she realized something profound. The opinions of others, whether approving or not, could never define her worth. "Are you ready?" Amir asked softly, his gaze steady and insightful. With a deep breath that seemed to pull her fragmented selves into alignment, Sarah nodded. "More than ever," she replied with a newfound resolve. As the first murmurs of appreciation met her ears, warmth spread through her. Their engagement with her work reflected an understanding of the complexities of human experience, confirmation that her emotional honesty could resonate beyond her own journey. Gradually, as individuals shared their interpretations, she felt a deep connection to them. Her heart swelled with pride, not an arrogance, but a deep affirmation of her right to express her truth. These interactions reaffirmed her belief that vulnerability invites connection. The showcase unfolded beautifully, a bustling exchange of stories, reflections, and shared understanding. Sarah found herself enveloped in conversations where people resonated with her struggles, each word spoken by an admirer revealing the impact her authenticity had made. When the night drew to a close, the compliments and praise flowed freely, yet the greatest satisfaction for Sarah wasn't in external validation. It was in realizing she had conquered her self-doubt, transformed her fears, and emerged as the artist she had always wanted to be. No longer did she hide behind the shadows of expectation. Instead, she stood tall, confident in her identity as both an artist and a woman. Her artistic journey had delivered her into the arms of self-acceptance, buoyed by genuine connections, and the realization that authenticity is and always will be the greatest achievement one can pursue. With his eyes sparkling with admiration, Amir set his gaze upon her one last time, offering a simple nod of recognition, a validation of her journey. The culmination of her efforts had not only changed how she viewed herself, but also how the world might embrace her artistry in all its complexity. As she glanced around the gallery, her heart swelled with gratitude, her spirit dancing in the light of creative fulfillment. This was her moment. She had achieved her metamorphosis. Now was the time to keep sharing her voice, to continue unveiling her truths, not just through art, but in every facet of her authentic life journey moving forward.
As the gallery began to empty, Sarah couldn't help but smile, her mind brimming with the possibilities that lay ahead, bold, vibrant, and wholly unafraid. And as her thoughts lingered on these dreams, she suddenly nudged back the remnants of doubt. The past was no longer a tether, but rather a foundation of strength, showcasing the beauty of resilience. You need to subscribe now to the channel to witness every exclusive emotional story that propels us to transformative heights. Leave a like now to help the algorithm reach others who need this inspiration in their lives, because together we cultivate growth. Comment below with your reactions and theories on Sarah's journey, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who are ready to embark on their personal journey of authenticity. Don't wait even one more second. Join us, and let's unravel the beauty of becoming.